Hello everyone and welcome on board another live safari. We are here in the Sabi Sands and my name is Scott Dyson. I'm teamed up with Senzo on camera, and it's not just myself out here this morning exploring this beautiful wilderness. Noel is also out and about. My plan is to continue checking our western boundary to see if there's any sign of the Nkuhuma pride coming back. There was some audio of lions from this general area last night. I'm not sure who heard them. I didn't. I've just heard the report though. So that's some exciting prospects. Maybe we'll get lucky and see them. They've been away for a while. Noel has headed off in search of Thandi, a leopardess with her youngster. So those are her plans for now. And you'll also have the joy of being taken around the Masai Mara all the way up in Kenya with Jamie Patterson a little bit later. So those are the three of us who will be out and about. If any of you would like to ask questions, we would love to hear from you, so please use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. To do that, it's a cloudy day here, spots of drizzle a little bit earlier, but I'm hoping we're going to stay dry. But a nice cool morning, cloudy for now. It could change though by the end of the morning. And I've also just moved through the kind of general area where Noel did have a female leopard last night, but no sign of her. It's still quite dark there and hard to see any tracks, but no sign of the Ingrid Dam female who was seen last night. Anyway, speaking of Noel, why don't you head across to see how her quest for Thandi is coming along.
Good morning, everyone. I am Noel, and on camera I have Vildi. Hello, Via. And Scott, good luck with finding that beautiful little female. We are, of course, on the lurk for Thandi and Cup. This is whereabouts she went south yesterday afternoon. We only got a very brief glimpse of her. And so we're slowly pottering down the road, just checking to see if any tracks come over. We haven't picked them up yet, but I'm also going to check this little pan and then check near Chitwa Dam. If we don't pick her up, we're also going to be looking for Tingana and Hosana. Now, for anyone wondering who are Tingana and who is Hosana, Tingana is the father of the leopardess Thandi's little cub, and Hosana is a young male whose mum passed away a bit too early, but he's done very well for himself, and he likes to be either sort of Djuma side or here by Chitwa. So we'll see what we can do with those two males as well. And we're also looking at the weather going, might rain. We got a couple of drops, but then it stopped. Poke Purple, you'd like to know when the rainy season is finished this side. Our rainy season should go from about the end of October till about the end of February, although this year it's been weird as it has been for the past couple of years. So yeah, it should be in the next couple weeks ending, although I don't want it to end in the next couple weeks because we desperately need more rain. So what keeps happening is we keep getting all the signs of rain, everything builds up, and myself and a lot of the other presenters going, oh look, it's going to possibly rain, and then it doesn't fall on us, it falls next door to us, which is typical of this area as well. So we need a blanket of rain. We probably need another 300 millimeters, although 600 would be better. But 300 will just let us see through the dry season. It's actually quite worrying, I'm not gonna lie. All right, now Jamie has a wonderful landscape that she'd like to share with you all the way up in Kenya and the Masai Mara. So I think let's head on up to her so that she can say good morning and you can enjoy that breathtaking view.
I have a wonderful landscape to share indeed. And in fact, if you give me 40 seconds, I will have a wonderful animal and a wonderful landscape to show you. A very good morning to all of you. My name is Jamie, and this morning Adrian is on camera with me, and we are live Masai Mara in Kenya. So you've been to South Africa, now you get to journey through Kenya as we go off in search of exciting things to show you. I said 40 seconds, we must have about 20 left, or slightly underestimated how far it was. This morning we're going to be looking for the Olololo Pride, and then from there I don't really know where we're going to go. I haven't decided yet. We'll go wherever we decide to. The joy of being out here, of course, is that making plans is always a risky business because things never really go according to plan. Here we go. What's going to be your best angle? Now, Vicky, while we look at our elephant in the sunrise, because it's just so beautiful, no, I actually check the Hammerkop nest every single day. And so far, since I arrived back in the triangle, whenever that was, I can't remember when it was, the Hammerkop have not been back to finish off their nest. I don't know, perhaps they've hit some sort of planning laws that have gone against them, building planning laws, but they haven't been back for days. So we'll probably go and check up on the Hammerkop nest, unless something drastic changes. Would you like to listen to the sounds of the morning, because it's not windy? Happy birdies chirping away, frogs croaking. And Kirsty tells me I've won first animal of the day. Thank you, Kirst. It was tough, but I managed it. Very peaceful. It is very crisp and very cold this morning, with a very chilly breeze. Fortunately, it's dropped long enough that we can listen to the morning. Can hear starlings, cisticolas, yellow-throated longclaws, and the ubiquitous Cape turtle dove. And one terrified Franklin. Let's go find out why that Franklin is so terrified. Can hear it alarm calling. Serval, perhaps? Lions, maybe? Leopard? Let's go find out what. Sorry, Ellie, you are lovely, but I do want to just see what's upset the Franklin. Morning, boy. Giving me the side eye. Okay, the reason I'm rushing off is because that's where the lions were yesterday, the direction of that alarm calling Franklin. So let's go back across to South Africa, join Noelle and find out where she's off to and if she has any leads on Tundi.
Thanks, Jamie. No leads on Tundi. Good luck with your lion hunt. We're now checking Cheetah Cutline to see whether or not she might have popped up north again. Sheep's going between Little Gowrie and us on Djuma. And so we're meandering up this way and seeing what we can find. Thus far, we've only found some hyena tracks. I would like to see that little cub. I haven't seen that little cub in a long time. So we're just going to do very slow loops around the area. Karen, you're asking if we can find Not Barbara. Karen, I would love to find Not Barbara and Shadow, but unfortunately they're in areas where I cannot traverse. The last I heard, she's Shadow and Not Barbara have really stuck to sort of the central and western side of Little Gowrie and then into Hoffman's. I haven't had a proper update from them in a little while, but they haven't been on Djuma in quite some time. I have a feeling where Hukumuri was coming in and out, and scent marking is also areas where Shadow comes in and out, and she's probably going, never mind, I'm not keen for that. That's not bad buffalo. Ooh, we have some buffalo poo. Okay, maybe we get that big herd of buffalo. That was nice. We will keep checking in this area. Yeah, I miss Shadow and Not Barbara. Would be nice to see them. Sorry everyone, let me just check something quickly. Hippo tracks. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep scouting here. I will ask when I hear the guys from the east getting out and about, I will ask them if they have any updates on Shadow and Not Barbara for us. And Jamie is winning today, hands down. Let's head on up to Jamie. She's got a surprise for you. And I'm hoping that you enjoy it as much as I'm sure she's enjoying it. We'll see you all shortly.
I found them. It was obviously what frightened the Franklin and caused that alarm calling. We've got one of the Olololo lionesses and two youngsters who came dashing out after her to see where she's off to. I wonder where the rest of the pride are. And they're wandering up into this I call it the marshy area. It's not really technically a marsh, but it is a sort of a drainage region. It's very soggy and full of holes. This is where the buffalo were yesterday. The buffalo are not far from where she is now. Where are the rest of you lions? There should be 17. We've got 3. And they're hungry. Is that one of them there? Perhaps. No, that's a pile of grass, not a lion. Hungry lionesses, but only one. Did we come into the middle of a hunt, perhaps? Have they split out and around? Now, don't go vanishing into the tree, girl. Into the trees, The little cubs dashing after her. So excited. I'm not sure that they were invited, actually, but they've come along anyway. They're at that age where they are energetic enough to follow along behind lionesses when they go hunting, and at the same time, they are big enough and clumsy enough to wreck any hunting attempts. Trying to decide which route we're going to take to follow her. Or if we are going to follow her, where are the others? This is most perplexing. When I spent time with the Olololos when I first arrived here, they were constantly moving. One lioness would constantly move off on her own. But that was because they had cubs of different ages. There's a person over there. Okay. Alright, I'm going to try and figure out where to go and where to follow this lioness. Scott Dyson has caught up with our animal totals and has found
Hello everyone. Yes, I have found some elephants, as well as what looks like possibly some leopard tracks, but we'll stay focused on the elephants for now. We've literally just come across them, and hopefully a set of leopard tracks as well. We hadn't found any tracks yet on our search. Well done to Jamie on her success with the lions up in the mire. That didn't take her long. And also happy that you've been enjoying a beautiful sunny morning there. The last few weeks it's definitely been predominantly cloudy in the mornings here in the Sabi Sands, but some very welcome cool weather, because it is scary how hot this place can get when the sun is out at this time of the year. Let me reposition quickly. I just want to confirm though that there are in fact some leopard tracks here. They're just down on the right here. They're going to be tricky to show you. So I would just like to make sure that they are, in fact, leopard, which I don't think they are. They look like hyena tracks. So false alarm regarding those. But we're going to be able to get into a good spot here and watch these ellies picking up the fallen fruits of the marula tree. And report from Kirsty, who's directing the show, that apparently it's raining quite hard back at the final control, which is not far from here. So we need to be ready for some quick action, but looks okay here for now. So the marula fruits are in full swing at the moment, and there's a marula tree that grows out of a kind of courtyard that our rooms surround, and we've got corrugated iron roof that receives these marula fruits dropping like a drum, giving everyone the fright of their life. So that's what we've to deal with now. Random fruits walloping the roof. And sometimes an unlucky staff member, the ones that don't fall on the roof. But a wonderful time for the elephants and a lot of other animals, baboons, even quite a few antelope will feed on the fruits that are falling from these wonderful trees. I wonder how many leopard are going to get lucky as the antelope come in to feed on the falling fruits. A leopard sleeping up in this tree could ambush their prey. I've never seen that, but it definitely does happen. Freya, you would like to know how big is an elephant's belly button? Very interesting question. And I don't have a clue. I've never seen the belly nor button thereof of an elephant. So I wonder. Interesting one. It would also be nice to know where exactly it is on their body, like exactly. Obviously it's on their belly, but I'm not too sure, and I haven't noticed any, so I'm guessing it's probably not very distinctive. But if anybody has seen an elephant's belly button, please do let us know how big it is. I guess just like us humans, Freya, it will vary, you know, on the individual elephants. So it will depend. But I'm not even going to hazard a guess because I've never seen one, like I said. Now, the leopard that Noel saw last night is a relatively new female called the Ingrid Dam female. And the first time I ever saw her, she was also kind of equally as west as she was last night, but much further south, close to where we are here. And she actually walked past this tree on our right here, scent marked at that. Beautiful big brown ivory tree. So she could well have followed the same pathway from where she was seen further north with Noel last night. It'll be interesting. She also scent marked at that tree over there. There's an impala standing below it, so if she did come past here, it probably wasn't recently. No sign of any tracks at first glance. It's always useful to try and remember those little kind of sightings that you may have had with certain animals in the past, because there is that chance that they will use a similar trajectory when moving through that area again. No immediate sign there. Very good. Well, we're going to continue foraging, and so are you, although you're going to be hopping on board Noel.
We're also foraging, Scott. I'm glad that you got those ellies. I'm hoping that those leopard tracks turn into something. We're still checking for leopard tracks our side. Now, my radio was just going off a bit, but I couldn't quite hear what the guys were talking about. And I think we might go investigate over there on Gowrie Main with the junction of Little Gowrie Driveway. It could be nothing, could be something, because we're not really picking up much from here. Again, we're still checking for Tundi and her little one. good idea, Patrick, or good say, and a well thought out question there. What other primates occur in this area? So there's baboons, as you know, as you said, and there's humans, as you can see, and then there are vervet monkeys, as well as bush babies. Bush babies, let me get my book out, for those of you that might not know. Bush babies are tiny little monkeys, about the size of my hand, also known as a galago. And of course the book is telling me to go to galago. Could just, you know, put... I'm laughing really hard. They keep referring me to pages. Alright. So, this is a bush baby. Alright. Now, we don't get that particular kind, but that's pretty much what it looks like. This is our little one that we get down here. Tiny, 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 size of my hand, lesser bush baby. There we go. There's the correct picture. Sorry, that looked funny for a second. That little tiny one up here in the corner. And they're one of my favorites. You see them out and about during the evening. They go and they wee on their hands and feet, and they jump from about tree to tree, about 300 trees in an evening, looking for insects. And then they live in holes in trees. And we get thick-tailed and lesser. The thick-tailed looked like that first one that I was showing you as I was paging through. Obviously there's different types of bush babies around, but for us those are the two that we get here. Although we tend to see they're super cute. We tend to see the lesser as opposed to the thick-tail. And their eyes don't move in the sockets. Their eyes are stuck in the sockets, so when they move, they have to move their like this, as opposed to being able to look like that. They're very cute. Oh, Noel. It's one of those days, everybody. We're just having one of those days. All right, Tundi, you need to pop up now and make our day. I actually wouldn't mind seeing something unusual, like a pangolin or an aardvark. Now, Jamie is still searching for her lions. Well, she did find them, but she's searching for them again. So I think let's head on up to her while we concentrate on tracking and see what she's going to chat about this morning with these lions.
I know where at least one lion is, but what I've actually been doing is backtracking them to see whether or not the rest of the pride was left behind, or if the lioness was going to take those two cubs to the rest of the pride. Looking at the tracks, I think what's happened is that those two cubs were a little tardy, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if she's gone back to fetch them and take them to a kill up ahead. That's what I think has happened. It's nice to backtrack. So the tracks have been so clear on this nice sandy road. There's absolutely zero skill involved with this. It is so easy. Wait, I'll try and show you. But it's nice to keep my eye in. We don't really get to track much in the Mara, so it's nice to try and, yeah, keep my eye in. So I already knew that the freshest tracks were going this way because we'd seen the lion. Now it's just a question of, is the rest of the pride there? I've backtracked them all the way to where their tracks stopped. Let's see if I can find a nice spot where I can show you these tracks. My biggest concern is that they have a kill in the forest. That is going to be tricky. Okay, the light is not really helping me here. But there we go. These are the nice pretty tracks in the sand to show you. Sylvia, you are absolutely right. The grass is so tall that it could easily have hidden the entire pride of lions. That's one of the reasons why I backtracked them to check. There we go. Lovely lion tracks. Very fresh, very crisp. Well, we knew that because we know where the lioness is. We know exactly when we saw her. Okay. I just can't. Doesn't the tracks of an... The problem is it doesn't look like the tracks of an entire pride. That's what's concerning me. I haven't found the tracks of the whole pride. MJ, talking about prides of lions, you want to know what's happened to the Black Rock Pride. Do they go by another name? They do not go by another name. They are still the Black Rock Pride. They are very, 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 very far away from where we are. And during the sort of the TV show and so on, when Brent and I were based on the other side of the river, Taylor was initially going to join us there. She was going to spend a lot of time with the Black Rock Pride. And the reason that she didn't was because they vanished. Now that doesn't mean they've disappeared. It just means that now that those cubs are a little bit older, they've started to move further and further afield. And unfortunately, that whole area is full of luggers or river systems that unfortunately our signal doesn't touch. It's quite a topographically difficult spot. All of the little hills and so on make things very difficult. So it's not that they've disappeared, it's not that they're going by another name, it's just simply that we actually haven't been able to show them to you. Now that those cubs are older, they're no longer based at that rock where we have fantastic signal and comms. And now, unfortunately, as we desperately try and pack up our, to go on leave, we actually won't be able to get to them over the course of the next few days. It's just Brent and myself, and it really is far. If I were to set off now to drive to the Black Rock Pride, I would get there, what time is it now? 7. I would get there at around about 11:30, give or take, if I drove quite fast. Oh, this poor Franklin's just having the worst day. Where are we running to, Jackal? Have you seen some lions by any chance? Blackback Jackal have just popped out into the road in front of us. In my imagination, or do they look a little anxious? Might just be standard Blackback Jackal posture. Pays to be a little bit nervous.
Can't hear the guys at all this morning. Hi everyone. Sorry about those little bits of gremlins that are popping up. Vildy and I are racing off. Our rain is gone, and we have one of the guys saw a leopard around the lodge at Chitwa this morning, and now it looks like he's popped up just down the road. So we're heading down there. The joys of working with other people are everyone helping everyone else find sightings. Like yesterday we found Tundi, and then she went south where we can't go. We helped the other guys find her. So now they found us a special. So let's see if we can get a view. We're not very far from there. I also very briefly heard something about wild dog. So I'm keeping my ear open. This whole side here, the radio channel that works is quite a large area. So I have to be close to pick up full comms. But it sounds like something's happening with wild dogs. I'm going to keep monitoring and see about that, because we haven't seen wild dogs in a while, and that would be fantastic if it is somewhere that we can get to. Let's go on this leopard though. Still checking for Tundi on this side. And I think while we're busy trying to get to this little leopard, let's head on over to Scott, who's been doing some tracking of his own.
Well, exciting stuff there with Noelle. I hope she gets lucky. We've also had some luck of our own. We found some female leopard tracks, which are heading in a easterly direction down this road. Judging by the area that it's in, it could be one of... Blessings. Apologies. It could be one of males. The Ingrid Dam female, who's a relative newcomer onto this scene and into this area, and or Tundi, and or Shadow, So that is just a guess, judging on where we found these tracks, which is kind of in our southwestern corner of the property. It seems like her tracks are no longer moving down this road, and she was last moving on the left-hand side, so I'm guessing she's ducked off some left here. So we'll just stay on the road though and loop ahead and keep checking other roads rather than stopping and trying to follow each individual footprint. We'll do a bit of guesswork here. Michelle, you would like to know if the cloudy weather we're experiencing here today is going to assist the predators in their plans for hunting. And yes, I think definitely to a degree it will mean that predators are more likely to be on the move because it's cool. So yeah, I think it does assist them and us, because it's just easier conditions for moving about, and I don't think it's going to make their job of catching their prey any easier. It's quite a still morning, so they've got no wind to assist them. I wonder who this leopard was, and also importantly, when exactly she moved through the area. The tracks are definitely from last night, but when exactly, whether it was late last night or early last night, it can be tricky to tell. Anyway, we're going to keep searching for a leopard here, and you'll be glad to know that somebody else has already got lucky with doing just that.
Access and Muluanini. All right, everyone, leopard, yay! Sorry, I was just chatting on the radio, updating the guys quickly. The other vehicles just there on the backside. Here's the leopard moving through here. I'm just trying to see where he's going to go. There's some impala that were just over here, but you can now hear them calling. And maybe I'll go quiet for a minute. You can hear them. Oh, look, he's going. He tried to catch a francolin. It didn't quite work. He's been found out by the impala, so now he's going to carry on and keep looking for whatever else might come his way. And hopefully he'll stick around this area. This is not a easy area to follow through, but it's a better area than some. So we're going to drive alongside him and do our best to keep him on camera. Just saying good morning to the other vehicle that is with us in the sighting, whose guests have huge smiles on their faces, or you do. It is definitely Hosana. Yes, indeed, it is Hosana. That is true. All right, he's going to go around here a little bit. Let's go around this termite mound. Let's see what we can do. Sorry that I'm not looking at you, everybody. Don't want to hit a stump. He's going to come just around, and I'm going to do my best to get a good view for all of you. All right, so any of our new viewers, this is Hosana. This is the little 2-year-old male that we were talking about earlier, who we were hoping to catch up with. He was busy at Chitwa Lodge this morning. He was actually apparently near the, Bildy, tell me when? Near the spa this morning. One of the guides found him there, and then he didn't want to get a spa treatment, and he's moved off and decided to come this way. That's beautiful. Here we go. He's going to come just on our left-hand side. Oh, and there's a huge herd of buffalo in front of us as well. There we are. Now we just need Jamie to find us a rhino, and we've had our big 5 for the morning. Hello, my boy. Hasana's looking a lot bigger. He's looking like he's filling out. He's looking like he's getting a little bit of a dewlap going on. He's going to come behind our car. come around fully. There we go. Vildy's doing his best to work around the back side of our vehicle. Now there's tiny little baby buffaloes in that herd of buffalo, but I don't think that Hosana has necessarily tried for a baby buffalo before, so I think he's more interested in those impala. And he's looking nice and healthy, but I don't think that he's had a meal sort of within the past days. So we might get a bit more action out of him, although I'm quite enjoying his little stroll through the bush here. Let's try there we go. His ears are perked, his tail is up. He's stopping and looking. He definitely has filled out. Tad, you're saying his dewlap is getting bigger. Tad, I completely agree with you. He's also looking, this is going to sound funny, but more male-ish. When I started here in November, he had more slender qualities, more young male traits. And now he's starting to fill out really nicely. I'm actually getting quite impressed with our little young Hosana right now. He's gonna be a male to reckon with. And I know most of us already have a big space in our hearts for him. And I think he's gonna be quite the male. We've been chatting on and off about the fact that he might possibly take over from Tingana at some point. And it might end up being sooner rather than later, to be honest with you. Here we go. He even seems like he's grown a little bit taller. I think he probably has a few more kilograms to put on himself. And oh, sorry for my hat. And possibly get a little bit taller as well. But, you know, he's looking in good nick. And especially considering his circumstances where his mom passed away when he was so young and he was having to eat little baby terrapins to survive, what he's taught himself and what his instincts have provided, along with some good luck, has really worked out well for him. That's nice. Look at his little tail going. All right, we're gonna come around. We're giving the other vehicle that I'm with, we're leapfrogging a little bit and giving each other space for each other to get a nice view, which is working out well. The guys from Chitwa are very good with us and with sharing sightings with us. And it's always interesting as well to see their guest faces when we pop up, and then with the animal. Sometimes they watch the animal and sometimes they watch us a little bit more than they watch the animal. Andrew, you're saying Hosana is your favorite. Thank you for us finding him. You're very welcome. We didn't find him. We re-found him after he'd been found, but yes, I'm glad we can get him on camera for all of you. And I'm also just happy to have a bit of leopard action this morning. He's seen something. He's not in full stock mode, but he's definitely seen something. And we've got a third vehicle with us, so we're allowed to have 3 vehicles in a sighting, depending on the sighting. And she is busy coming around for a view as well. Now, Hosana has seen something that interests him. Could be Franklin's again. We all know he loves to chase squirrels as well. But then again, it could be impala. Vildy and I have been circling this area for, as you know, for most of the morning. And we've seen quite a few impala. He's going to move around in front here. Whatever he's seen is definitely interesting him, but not to the point where he wants to fully stalk quite yet. And I just want to towards this large termite mound. Any of you that watch us on a regular basis will remember about a month ago a wonderful sighting we had of Tingana, Hosana's father, lying on top of this big termite mound just up here, just next to the side of the road. He was very lazy the whole game drive, but we got some very nice views of him. All right, we're gonna come past this weeping wattle. Sorry there, Vildy. No thorns in there, so Vildy won't get caught on anything. And there, his ears are flat. Look, look, look. Proud Cat Mom asking, what are the uses of the leopard's claws? They're for catching prey. What happens is they protract as they're about to grab their prey, and that claw gets stuck into the prey itself and then doesn't move. It doesn't unhook, and it helps bring down the prey. I feel like he sees things that interest him, because remember, he's still young. He's just over 2 years old. So he sees things that interest him. There's a tortoise. So he's watching that tortoise. He's not hunting that tortoise. He's watching that little hingeback tortoise there. Now he sees things that are interesting him, but then waiting, and then getting interested, and then waiting again. And I'm pretty sure it has to do with these impala that are just up in here. So now, because of where we are with this sighting, and because the other game drives are out and about, I'm not going to be able to stick with Hosana the whole time like we like to do. I am going to be limited to some time. I just want to forewarn everybody now. Shannon, great question. You want to know if Hosana will continue to grow or stop. He will stop growing around 4 years old, 5 years old. Then he'll reach his sort of adult male peak physique. I'm just going to move forward a bit. Try and get under these branches. So he's lying in the exact same spot where we had Tingana the other month, as we were chatting about. And I'm going to see if we can move in such a way where we can see him as well as see the impala that he's keen on. I'm going to try from here. There we go. Beautiful. We're going to get some nice screenshots here. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do impala and him in the same shot. I think we're going to have to choose him. We've got a little bit of sunlight that's peeking through. I can actually hear monkeys behind us, to be honest. I can hear those vervets going around behind us, and I'm wondering, when we came up on the road and we saw this Vildy, is the leopard we're going to, or is it a different one? And I said, that's the update that I have is that he moved north, and then so this was him. But that doesn't mean that there's not more leopards around. It doesn't mean that Tingana's not around. It doesn't mean that Kuchava's not around. We haven't talked about Kuchava in a while. Kuchava is a female leopard that is one of Tundi's daughters that has supposedly has her cubs on the southeastern corner of Chitwa. I haven't seen her since we saw her heavily pregnant just after Christmas. But she does like this area as well. And then, of course, we're not far from where Tundi and the cub are. And don't forget, everybody, we are live and we are interactive. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat. And we love those questions and comments. I think he might just take a little bit of a beat, waiting to find his opportune moment. Pink, pink, pink nose. The pink nose phenomenon works really well with lion. The darker it gets, the older that they are. And with leopard, you can use it a bit. But if you'll notice, if you look at photos of Tingana, his nose is pink, but it does have some pink and then some black on it. So it's not the full coloration change like you get with lion. All right, everybody. So Scott's busy tracking. and he loves to track, and I hope he finds that female. And then unfortunately the Mara feed with Jamie has had a gremlin attack, so you guys are stuck, and I don't think it's a bad place to be stuck. We all love Hosana very much. He is an interesting leopard. He's got such a personality. I have to say, and this could be very cheeky of me to say, but I have to say I did enjoy him dismantling the rover the other day. Andrea, you want to know why are his ears going flat like that? Andrea, he's listening. So there's a few different reasons why his ears would go flat. Sometimes it's in concentration. So yesterday afternoon, Andrea, we were with a female and her ears were doing that, and that has to do with concentration. Then sometimes they're just listening, and sometimes they're upset. He's just listening right there. His face would be different if he was upset. Guys, I just want to move around a little bit now that one of the other vehicles has changed their spot. And so I'm just going to come around. It's going to be quite bumpy. If we can just hang on while I do that. To come through this little miter drain here. Everyone, this is going to be gorgeous. Hello, my boy. All right, here we go. How beautiful is that, everyone? Thanks, Vildi. Literally same spot. I have a photo of Tingana doing exactly this from a month ago. Now we know that Hosana has a little bit of an obsession with Tingana. He follows him around, not all the time, but he enjoys being in his presence. Part of that has to do with where Tingana has been lurking, and the fact that Tingana is overtly aggressive towards Hosana, as some older males can be, regardless of parenthood. The other reason, I think, my personal opinion, is that because his mum passed away earlier on, he tends to attach himself to Tingana just as an older leopard companion. And I think it's just something that we don't read about often in books. Now, Kirst, I did hear you in my ear, and I believe you were asking me to go to Scott, because I think Scott has an update, which is very exciting. So I think let's head on over to him.
Well, we do have an exciting update indeed, and that is the fact that we are still following the tracks of this female leopard. And we've been very, very lucky, because to be able to follow tracks this far, we've probably been on her trail now for over a mile. She's moved from her initial tracks. So we've been fortunate that she's been kind of sticking to some roads, but she has been cutting across one or two. And judging by the area that the tracks are in, I'm guessing it is Shadow who we are tracking. This is one of her routes that she likes to check, unless of course it's Tundi that's come back into this area just to check in on things and know whether it's safe or not to bring her cub back here. Are they still going? It looks like they still are. Yeah. This is the this is the area where we actually had Shadow and Tundi in the same, where Tundi was trying to steal Shadow's kill. So not far from that area, which some of you may remember that awesome scene. Doesn't look like there's another leopard with her. It just seems like one leopard, so I'm not too sure if it is Shadow, where her daughter, not Barbara, could be. Another reason why I think it's Shadow is because these tracks are heading from south to north, whereas the Shidulu female, apologies for calling her the wrong name earlier, the old name is the Ingrid Dam female, which is what I was using. So thank you for you who reminded me, or corrected me there. Where she was to the north, so it's unlikely she would have done a huge loop from the south and then all the way back north, so that's why I've kind of guessed that it is in fact Shadow. Tracks are still here, they're just on the left-hand side of the road, so that's why I had to just veer off there temporarily, just to make sure they were still heading along here. Okay, well, we're going to continue on these tracks, and hopefully there will be a leopard awaiting too far down this road. And while we continue to do that, we shall send you back to Noel with a sleepy Hosana.
He is looking a little bit sleepy. That is in fact true. There we are. And of course he opens his eyes as we get live to all of you. Now everyone, we are going to have to share him shortly. So we're going to be able to stay with him for a couple of more minutes. And then unfortunately we're going to have to move on. But don't fret. We can still hear monkeys' alarm calling, but a different set of monkeys in the general vicinity of where we find Tundi. So that is a promising thing. But for now, we are with him. And for now, he's decided to stop his hunting and have a break. Very similar to what our female leopard did yesterday. Rhea, good question. You'd like to know how close does prey have to be for a leopard to catch it? Rhea, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on how thick the bush is. It depends on what the wind conditions are doing and what if the prey has any idea that the predator is there, in particular this leopard. But what they'll do is they'll stalk until they're within several meters and then either pounce if they're very close or sort of run up quickly and then grab them. Shame, you guys make me laugh so hard. So Donna, you're saying that large tick on his face makes your skin crawl. Every time one of the leopards has a tick, I feel like all of you just want to like sort of leap up and pick it off. I hear you a bit. He's got one in his ear as well. He's not bothered by them though. They are a little bit swollen. They'll come off eventually. There he's going to groom himself. Maybe he'll manage to dislodge a tick or two. Maybe not. All right, everybody. We unfortunately have to give room for the guides to come in and view him. Now, hopefully he'll stick around in this area so that we can maybe possibly see him later, depending on how busy the sighting gets, or possibly see him this afternoon. But this is not a bad way to start our day. And I can hear the other vehicle coming up now, and he's going to move, and I think we're going to let him move in front of us. Oh, there we go. All right. He's now just searching around. I think maybe let's head on over to Scott and base here, and then we will go follow up on those monkey alarm calls.
Well, happy that Noel's got a great plan B in those monkeys that are alarm calling. It seems like this leopard has just veered off the road somewhere behind us. Her tracks are no longer heading down here that I can see. So we'll just keep on checking, and hopefully I've just been missing the tracks. If not, we'll do a loop around into the next field she may have headed, just judging from her general direction of movements, which has been kind of predominantly north this morning. Hi Jeanette, you would like to know if Shadow's daughter, not Barbara, is young enough to kind of go off and do her own thing just yet. She is on the young side, but she, yes, in theory could survive. Oh, the leopard track, so that's good. So yes, I mean, from a year of age, leopards can be kicked out of the house, but that is on the young side. Hosana, the leopard you've just seen, is a good update, or a good example, of a leopard that survived on his own, and so did his sister, and they were left alone from about a year of age. So yeah, other than that, it's going to be a struggle for them though. They're just not wise enough. Interestingly also, Shadow does have a bit of a reputation of leaving her cubs from a young age, from about a year or so, whereas the norm is around 18 months. Okie dokie. No, I'm just going to have to hop out at this road junction to work out where exactly the leopard's head. There's a chance it will cross straight over the road here, but time will tell. Andrea, you'd like to know if there've ever been any recorded cases of elephants being attacked by leopards, and namely tiny little elephant calves. Not that I've heard of, but I can almost guarantee that somewhere in Africa a big male leopard has sniped a baby elephant at some point or another. Okay, so I just scrape my foot at each track that I see, because that allows you to come back to your last known track with ease. Where did she go from here? She was kind of looking like she was veering down this road here. Tricky in this flat light to be able to tell exactly what's going on. And I also did drive this road this morning, so I myself may have crushed a few of her footprints. It was still dark when we drove out here then, so that's my excuse for not seeing the tracks. Why on earth have they gone from here? Why can I not see them? Okay, well, I'm going to need some time to scratch around here a little bit. Actually, I'm not. I know what I'm going to do. Let's head off onto a road where she's likely going to have headed towards. Alrighty, I'm guessing she may have just crossed over the road here in an area where it's difficult to see. So like I said, I'm going to loop ahead, see if I can catch up with these tracks and send you across to Noel while I do that.
Good luck, Scott. I hope you enjoy that. Everyone, I'm sorry that our Hosana sighting was brief. However, it sounds as if he's gone north, so it's possible that we'll be able to go back there. However, I have a surprise for you in a little while. I'm going to tell you what the surprise is, because it might involve very quickly at some point, but the wild dogs are about 400 meters from where Hosana was. So we're just basically waiting our turn. And while we're waiting our turn, that's what the first set of monkeys would have been about. So it wasn't about another leopard, it was about those wild dogs. While we're waiting our turn, we're going to go check out where our second set of monkeys was busy alarm calling. There's a lot happening in about a kilometer radius of where we are right now. So I'm going to do my best to work this area as efficiently as we can, and I'm really hoping that we get those wild dogs. All right, we're on standby with those wild dogs. So I think what we might do before they move is I think we might turn around and slowly head that way, so that if they do move, we can make sure to get there in time for a view. So basically, Vildy and I have worked one tiny little area this morning, and everything's popping up. Some of it has to do with the rain that fell. Now, Curse, sorry, I did hear that you were talking to me. Oh, guide monkeys. Sorry, guide monkey, you're excited. I'm also excited. Super excited. All right. Jacqueline, I believe your animals mate all year or just when babies are independent. So Jacqueline, each mammal species we view has a completely different set of mating rules. So for instance, the female leopard we're looking for, she'll only start mating when her cub is about 1.5 years, 2 years old, unless the cub passes away before then, and then she would start mating right then. Lions will be similar. That little male leopard we're looking at now is not old enough for mating, although he seems to be doing everything earlier than quote-unquote normal. So it might happen before he's 4 or 6. We'll have to see. Impalas mate a year and then are pregnant for 6 months and then drop, and then they do it like that. Oh, sorry. All right, let's head on up to the Masai Mara to Jamie. She's back in action. I believe she has lions while we go look for our wild dogs.
How exciting, we're back again. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Our gremlins decided that you weren't allowed to see the pride of lions that I've been sitting with for the last 20 minutes or so. So there you go. We are back up and running, and we are sitting with the Olololo pride, the entire Olololo pride. I found their tracks a little bit further along where they'd crossed already. So I do think that those two cubs that we saw with the lioness at the start of the morning safari, I do think that they were left behind. They were being naughty, perhaps lazy, perhaps distracted, and the lioness actually had to go back and physically fetch them and bring them back here. And they've all gathered on the top of this termite mound, enjoying the sun and actually looking towards that buffalo herd that we've been following over the course of the last few days. So a few days ago we saw a brand new little buffalo that had just been born, and we've checked up on it every single day since, and now not far away from our little buffalo. So I do hope they don't decide to go and eat our little buffalo for breakfast, because that would be quite tragic after all we've been through with that little buffalo. It looks as though they've changed their mind, though. They're now looking in the opposite direction, up the hill, towards some zebra, potentially. The zebra all the way up at the top there. Coming down, though. Here we go. If you zoom in there, you should see. There we go. That's what they're after. And that is what remember, Olololo pride is after. And Joe says that perhaps we should rename them to the Yodel pride. Absolutely, Joe. I couldn't agree more. I also think the Vowel pride is quite a good name for them. Angama, Olololo pride. You know. You catch my drift. But yes, the Yodel pride. Olololo. I would yodel, but I don't think it's very good by people who've come to see the lions as well. They're going to be very confused if I start yodeling all along. So I'm afraid we'll have to keep that quiet for now until I leave the sighting. Otherwise there's going to be some unimpressed faces staring at me. So I still haven't managed to do a head count because they're all gathered together here in a way that makes it very difficult to count individual lions. Hopefully they get up before the end of the morning safari, and then we can do a head count and check that all of them are around. Most of them are now moving across to a lioness that's lying in the grass. Can't see at the moment. They are hungry though. They are definitely hungry. They haven't had much success in terms of hunting over the last few days, judging by the empty bellies. Oh, big stretch, doing some yoga. Downward facing dog, or in this case downward facing lion. And wondering to go and join the lioness. She actually moved over there because she didn't want company. I think she wanted some space. She's not been given the option. Yes, Eddie, these are indeed the girls that climb trees. All Mara lions apparently climb trees. I have only ever seen the Olololo pride in trees. Let me think if that's true. I have seen the small sausage tree pride, or the Awinyo pride, in trees as well. Come to think of it. Oh, flop. Here we go, into the long grass. Now are you all going to follow suit? Please don't. We can see you so beautifully here. But the lions that I've seen the most have been the Olololo pride, and Rolf and Taylor, I think, had some really lovely sightings with them. Chelsea, all lion prides will be related to each other in some way, so that applies just as much to the Olololo pride. They will be sisters, nieces, cousins, mothers, daughters. I don't know exactly how the lionesses of the Olololo pride are related to each other. We know that they are related because that's basically a lion and pride. The lion pride is Steph described it beautifully as the guardians of the genetics. They stay in one area often for decades at a time, and the pride just continues. So the females stay in the pride their entire lives unless something unforeseen happens, and you get this sort of continuous growth of the pride, and then they'll go through some bad times, and there'll be less lions, and then there'll be more lions. But yes, they are all related to each other. What will be interesting with this particular pride is, I think, really fully confirmed it, but I'm pretty certain that 9 of these young cubs are males. So it'll be interesting to see where they end up, if they all survive, of course, which, as you know, is something that is still, unfortunately, statistically doubtful. If any new males come in at this particular point in time, none of the cubs will make it, unless the lionesses run away. But they will, the 9 of them, if they all survive, they will move off and disperse, and it'll be interesting to see where they go. We had spirited debates recently as to what's going to happen to them. Proud cat mama, there's quite a few advantages to living in a group, but there is a reason that the lions have evolved to be social cats. So let's break it down. The first off is that with lionesses, they are able to have or synchronize their estrus cycles to the point that they often have cubs at the same time. That means that there are more babysitters. There's the possibility that if one of them, their milk runs dry, then the other lioness will suckle them, or if one of the lionesses dies, they're looked after. Being able to hunt together as a group means that they are capable of tackling larger prey. Now that comes with its advantages, and quickly off to Noelle, she's found her dogs.
Can you see there, Vildy? Okay, guys, we've got the wild dogs. They've just made this kill literally right now. It's an impala. We've only got 2 of them here. I'm going to be quiet for a minute. This is incredible, everybody. Anyone that might not want to watch this, but this is pretty incredible. Look how quick they are. Look at, they're getting excited. Absolutely incredible. All right, everybody, we've got another vehicle that's going to be coming in, so we're going to lose a little bit of this sounds, but I'm glad we could have that little bit of a quiet moment. And Elsa Dog, you're saying, oh, holy cow, that they eat very quickly. They do. That's one of the adaptations that wild dogs have, is to kill and then eat very, very quickly. They have high metabolisms. 2, they don't want to here we go, right in front of us. They don't want to be stuck on a kill for too long and have other predators come in and injure them. Everyone, we're having quite the morning. I can't believe it. I'm just going to move forward. Yeah, there's a little bit of injuries. I saw that you all saw that there. It looks like possible hunting injuries. I'm just going to come forward a bit through here. And then a little bit forward now. Julian, you're saying that they're acting like they haven't eaten in months. That has to do with their high metabolisms. We've got them just in front here. One's running with what's left of the kill. I'm going to come and try and get around as best as I possibly can. Sorry. Remember, wild dogs have ADD. They move around crazy, so just bear with me here as I move us around. I'm so thrilled at the moment. This is my favorite predator. My favorite predator, and my favorite predator has made a kill for us. I'm smiling from ear to ear. Predator-prey interaction is can be harsh, but is amazing to witness. And watching the dogs do their thing is very special. Ellie, fantastic. You want to know if elephants react more viscerally to wild dog than any other predator? No, I would say definitely not. I would say that the predator that elephants dislike the most is lions. React to male leopards. I've seen female leopards walk in between their legs, no problem. And I've seen them look at wild dogs and sort of go, and I've seen them chase wild dogs off. But it's definitely lions that they react to the most. I've never seen them react to a cheetah, amazingly enough. Once I've seen them react to a cheetah that was on a kill that was near a water hole. Oh, now they each have a piece of the prize, and now they're each moving off. There's more than 2 dogs here. We've just only seen the 2. I have a feeling that maybe the rest of the pack has made a kill elsewhere. They were all... sorry everyone. That's why I tend to show you the back of my head while we drive instead of looking at you. And I have a feeling that the others have maybe made a kill elsewhere. And then they'll call each other once they're done eating. There we go. Oh, that was very unpleasant, that branch. There we are. PGZ, very good question. You're asking if the dogs care that we're this close. No. If they cared, they would have been long. I think they're just busy trying to get as much meat into their bellies as possible. They're also moving around a bit, 1, because they do that. They have ADD. And then 2, because they were fighting over... This impala is not a fully grown impala. It's a little impala, and they were fighting over it. So they also don't want to give up their prize for each other. They do share. Wild dogs do care about what happens to the rest of the pack. But when it's 2 hungry dogs and a small impala like this, they're also need to get as much nutrition into their body as possible. Sorry, I've got a couple other vehicles that are moving around with us. I'm just letting them place themselves. I'm pretty happy with where we are for now. Oh, exquisite. Very different eaters to, say, a leopard. You can see that one's eating a bit of the skin there. Oh, darn it. Good question. You want to know if they kill the impala first or if they just eat it when it's alive. So wild dogs run something down, manage to stomach to either disembowel it, or this impala they happen to just catch. Remember, their claws are not like cat claws. Their claws do not get stuck into the animal. They've got claws like a dog. So if any of you have a pet dog at home, you know what those claws are like. And so when they disembowel the prey, or like this, they basically just ripped it apart. That prey dies more quickly than, say, with a lion. I've watched a lion with a warthog in particular eating that warthog while it was still alive for about 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. The warthog didn't want to die. I've also seen them over an hour trying to, with a buffalo, just eating until it is. So they tend to suffer more with something like a lion. Now, with something like a leopard, I've seen leopards jump on prey and then start eating a little bit, but a lot of times they also tend to kill it and then hoist because they don't want to attract other predator species. So that can be quick, but for me, the quickest is the wild dog. It's not the prettiest to watch. It's probably one of the more gruesome to watch, but it is the most efficient. The animal struggles less, has less stress at the end. And there we go. What is that? 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and that little impala is completely finished. Yeah, that one, you see that there. The other thing that could be happening with the could be hunting injuries like we talked about. There could also be some infighting amongst some of the males that's causing those bitings. The reason why I'm saying those wounds at the back end there look more like being attacked from behind and bitten. And that happens sometimes, especially if there's an alpha male takeover. Or sometimes they even push out members of the pack if the pack is getting too big. Christina, good question. You're asking if they can eat the bones. With this little impala, as you can see, I mean, he basically just ate that whole leg and foot. And because the little impala is much more tender and small, then it's definitely possible. With larger impala, not as much. Although they tend to do a better job with it than some of the cats, that's for sure. Yeah, those look like from another wild dog to me. All right, now I believe Hosana is still around and there's a space that's been made available. So Scotty D has gone to him so we can enjoy him a bit more. So let's head on over that side.
Yes, it seems like Hosana has moved away from the area where you were viewing him with Noel, and he's now on Vuyatela. So he's on a different property and just two vehicles, myself and the other person who's been staying with him. Now, apparently he did have a kind of view of some warthog that he tried to catch, and now he's obviously just thinking about what he did wrong in his attack, because clearly he's got no bacon just yet, but very, very good prospects for us as he is on the move. It's quite a thick area, so it's going to be tricky business staying with him, but we will do our best to do that. And we're moving right this second before he disappears. Wonderful stuff. Sounds like you had an incredible time with Noel and the wild dogs. I was racing here so quickly that I didn't share all of the updates. Oh, he's just popped out, and it looks like he's smelling a termite mound with a few holes in it, and it could well be where these warthogs sleep or where they've run into to escape from him. Now, this is the very same area where we followed Tundi yesterday evening. Oh, sorry, it's a leopardess who's got a young little cub, and it'll be interesting to see what happens if she does come across this young male over here. Adele, you'd like to know if I think this male will be as big as his father, if not bigger. Yeah, I guess they'll be similar sizes. I wouldn't really be able to hazard a guess at this stage as to how big he is going to. Okay, well, we're going to try and do our best to stay with him. And while we do that, we will send you back to Noel, whose wild dog are back on the move.
They are on the move. They're on the move and coming back and forth between little bits of prey. I'm going to do my best to keep up with them, but as we know, wild dogs move extremely quickly. So bear with the back of my head and keep sending through those questions and comments, everybody. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on YouTube chat, and I'm going to follow the wild dogs. So other than watching wild do their predator-prey relationship, following them on a chase like this is one of my favorite things in the whole world. Especially because it's very difficult to surmise where they want to go. Gemma, good question. You're asking how long will that impala last them before they hunt again? Gemma, that was a very little impala. If they get another chance now, they'll kill and do it again. I watched a pack of wild dogs. They were 10 in number at the time, or 12, I think, and they killed 2 full-grown wildebeest and a water buck in an hour. That helps for you guys to figure out what works best. William, you're saying you call wild dogs the piranhas of the bush. William, I don't think you're that far off with that assertion there. All right, let's see if we can. Now they're gonna move. All right, We're actually heading over to where Scott was with Hosana, or where we were with Hosana. I'm not quite sure where he ended up to. Scott may be, but I don't think he's far. Okay, so Hosana has gone north and Scott has gone there, so he a little bit farther away. Now they're coming out onto the road, which is good for us. I hope they run up the road and give us a little bit of break from the boondu bashing. But knowing wild dogs, they probably will not do that. Here we are. That's a really great question. You're asking what goes through my head when we find wild dogs. Listen, listen. They're calling the rest of the pack. Did we hear that? Let's see if they do it again. They put their faces close to the ground and do that woo, woo. Magnifies off the ground, and then their big ears help catch the sound. That's beautiful. Let's see if they do it again. He's listening, listening, listening. They're going to come right past the front of the car. So Adele, wait, are you going to do it again? He's thinking about it. Adele, you were asking what goes through my head when I see wild dogs. Adele, can you think of the most exciting thing that's ever happened in your life, whether in childhood or in adulthood, that you just literally can't contain yourself? I actually have trouble finding words when we see the dogs. They are my favorite, and I just enjoy them so immensely. I just, no words. So we can see that wound a little bit better. Definitely looks like some sort of bite marks, but it also looks a little bit older and like it's healing and maybe opening up again. It's obviously not hindering him in any way. Could we hear that one? Watch, they can hear the other ones. It sounds like they're possibly to our south. Sorry, they're to our south. I can hear them far in the distance towards possibly the airstrip. Sorry, Shanae's with me in the sighting. She's saying she hears a lion. Shanae is going to go investigate. We're going to stick with these wild dogs here. There's not many female guides in the northern sands, so it's always nice to have Shanae in a sighting with me. Gotta stick together. Alright, so she's going to go investigate. We're going to stick with these two. I don't think that they could hear those other dogs. What's behind us? Franklin's flying away behind us and the dogs are running. It's very possible that lion that Shanae heard is somewhere here. I just want to, now I don't know who to follow and where to go. There could also be another leopard in the area. Did you see anything, Vildy? Guys, this is too much excitement for one morning. There's another predator here somewhere. Alright guys, I think let's stick with the dogs for now, because to stay with them for too much longer. There's going to be other people that here they're in front that want to see them. Vildy, I'm going to try and sneak us in through here. You're good. So what do I think? We talked about what do I think about with the wild dogs, but also scenarios like this is very interesting. So all of you are at home watching with me. So I've got obviously our running commentary and we go quiet every now and then. But now it's a very different scene as if you were physically with me on the vehicle It's a little bit different what we get on up to. All right, let's investigate this a little bit more, and while we're doing that, let's head on over to Scott, who's found Hosana again.
Yes, we've managed to catch up with him again. He did a bit of a runner to the south, and he is currently going kind of parallel to our southern boundary. He may cross over it where we won't be able to follow him, sadly. Well, I hope the pack manages to relocate with the missing members. It'll be very cool to see. And what a morning, filled with predators. He has sadly crossed over our southern boundary, but not to worry, he may kind of slink back and crisscross. But I've got a feeling he's following the trail of these warthog that he's apparently after. I haven't seen them yet. The vehicle who's been following him before we got you said there were some warthogs, and the way he kind of ran south trying to catch up with them indicates that that is what he is still interested in. And what's further interesting is that I have on one occasion followed him, and he chased warthogs he followed their scent trail for about almost a mile, maybe half a mile. So he will and does definitely kind of follow up on certain prey like warthog that have run off, which is uncommon for leopard actually. Usually once prey has detected the predator gives up, but not in his case, and certainly not with warthogs. Very good. We're going to send you back to Noel and the wild dogs.
We still have these two dogs here. They've moved away. I couldn't see what chased those Franklins up or what made them move off. And Vildy and I have actually had a nicer, closer look at them away from the craziness of that kill. It's actually two females. So then there's also, we were talking about infighting amongst males. There can also be infighting amongst females with an alpha female takeover as well. So I'm still going to stick with my wounds being inflicted from another wild dog. That could be the possibility with this pack. And they're just listening. They're still waiting to see the rest of the pack. And it seems as if everyone else that was in the area has moved on to something else. So I think we're going to stick with them as long as we can. Michael, you'd like to know if male wild dogs vocalize more frequently than the females. Not that I've ever heard of, read, or seen, Michael. As far as I know, they vocalize as much as the females, and it just depends on who's looking for who and where everybody is. These two are definitely looking for their pack. And sometimes they can lose each other for a couple of days, and sometimes it's just for a few minutes. Liv, you say for such a fierce predator, you think they sound like owls? Yeah, they do a little bit. There are not many owls make that hoo sound, screech, or do burps, but yeah, a typical sort of owl sound that we put into that hoo sound that we put as our nomenclature for an owl sound. They do sound a little bit like that. Sorry everyone, I'm just concentrating here. While I'm busy trying to find these dogs again, we've got vultures flying up. I think let's go over to Jamie, who's still with those lions. And Vildy's got the vulture nicely on screen for us. Thank you.
Oh, it seems like it's a really very exciting morning on Djuma this morning. All sorts of things on the go. So our exciting morning has turned into a peaceful morning as the Olololo lions have decided to have a little bit of a rest. And looking in the direction, and I still think they're going to hunt before the day is over. It looks as though their plans for now are simply to warm up in the sun. Most of them have now moved across into the long grass, and we're left with only 5 of the cubs still sitting out in the open. harmonica? Now, there's a good question, because we were actually, you've reminded me, thank you, that we were talking about the advantages of living socially or being a social predator. And now, Z Harmonica is wondering what the differences are between a social structure of the wild dogs and the lions. So within wild dog packs, you've actually got a mixture of males and females, and you will have an alpha pair, an alpha male and an alpha female that do the breeding. The rest of the pack essentially bands together to help to keep those cubs fed and alive. Every now and again, a lower ranking female will have pups, but the chances of those pups surviving are quite small. They can. It is possible, but it is a very, very different approach. Wild dogs often, rather than showing aggression for dominance, actually show submission in order to find themselves at an advantage. It's the only social group of animals that treats the young and the old or infirm as higher ranking than the rest of the healthy members of the pack. Lions are something completely different. A lion pride, the basic unit of a lion pride, is females and their cubs, all related to each other, whereas wild dogs don't necessarily have to be related to each other. The males are separate entirely. They are not part of the pride, and they will form either coalitions or be on their own, but most of the time within a group or a coalition that defends a large territory that encompasses the territory of the females of different prides. And they'll come and visit the females every now and again. They'll come and steal their food often, or just spend a bit of time socializing with them, and then they will move off. Look how tatty that cub's ears are. That's crazy for a young cub. You've got very tatty ears for somebody. What have you been up to? Is that from having older cousins chewing on your ears? All right, quickly across to Noelle. The wild dogs continue to be exciting, and she's managed to find them.
The rest of the pack has showed up with our other two females, which is absolutely fantastic. They've had a little bit of a greeting. Now, because they are more stationary and because they are all together, we are going to have to share this sighting with some other vehicles. So I think we're going to enjoy it as best as we can. They're in a little bit of a thicket, which makes it a little bit difficult to see them. I've counted about 8 in total. Gem Video, you'd like to know if it's possible for wild dogs to join another pack. Gem, I have seen it happen. It depends how big. I'm going to try and get in here a little bit. It depends on how big the pack is, if the pack is too large for the area that they're in, if there was dogs that were ousted. There's a whole litany of scenarios that deal with that, but I have seen it happen. One of the packs that we view, called the Mbali Investec Breakaways, has a male with a collar, and he's actually from a pack of wild dogs from Angama. So he left that pack or was forced out, either one. And sorry, Vildi, and joined that pack. I'm going to do the best I can here and try and get a view. Vildi, let me know when you're happy. There we go. Here we go. Yay! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're missing 2. But there we are. African painted wolves, African wild dogs. You can see all the differences in the coat pattern there, each unique to the individuals. And a lot more sedentary than we had earlier. Anna Marie, good question. You'd like to know how often do female wild dogs get pregnant? The alpha has pups once a year, usually around July, August, and raises them to adulthood, and then we'll have another litter the next year. Sometimes she'll skip a year depending on environmental conditions like drought. And if she, for some reason, can't have little ones, every now and then the beta female will be allowed to have pups. All right, everybody, they're going to slowly get up and get moving. And unfortunately, our time is up. We do have to share this sighting because we don't get to see often. we need to give a chance to everybody else. And we've had an amazing view. We had that kill, we had a little bit of vocalization, we had the hunt or the chasing that we had, and now we've seen the rest of the pack. So I hope you were all as excited as I was and enjoyed it as much as I did. And while we're busy letting everyone else get a view, let's head on up to Jamie, who has left her lions and is busy on a bit of a mission. Let's see what she's heading to up there.
Oh, we have left our lions for see. Morning. Good on you. As you can see, there are several vehicles that want to come in to view them, and there is a restriction on the number of vehicles that can go into sightings around this area. So I'm just going to make some space for them, let them come in. Just as Noel's doing with the wild dogs, I imagine. Morning, how are you doing? Yes, I have. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jamie. Cool, enjoy. Bye. I'm the lady she's seen on TV. This happens more and more frequently to us in Mara. I never know what to say. Really. The other thing is that there's some people who ask if they can take photographs, and other people who just take photographs. And I've started to turn things on their heads, especially when I'm in a sighting. If someone's taking, I don't like branding on the vehicle and the camera, but if people are taking photographs during a sighting looking at us, then I just pick up my phone, and I've got a whole collection of people taking photographs of us sneakily. Two of them, actually that was hilarious. Two girls were trying to sneak photos of Brent when I first arrived here, and I was in Chiku with him. And they were trying to sneak photos while he was presenting. So I was leaning out of the window taking photos of them, trying to sneak photos of him. And they caught on. And they went beetroot red and kept asking to delete the photographs. It was highly entertaining. I didn't delete the photographs, but I'm not going to ever publish them. They will just be there as a little memory for me. Here we go. We make some space at the lions. We've got some jackal to entertain you. It's the same pair that we saw earlier. JK apparently said it was a Jamie sighting. They're right there. It is definitely not a Jamie sighting. It's not going to become a thing. I think it was all about Adrian, actually. They wanted some serious photos of his dreads. What do you think, Adrian? Definitely. What are they up to? I love sitting watching. They're bouncing through the grass. The grass is so long the jackal can't even see over the top of it. And now we can't see the jackal over the top of it. Oh dear. It was highly entertaining for about 2 seconds, and now they've vanished into the grass. Let's try. Must be what the lions feel like, you know. Oh, good grief. Nothing will ever beat Graham saying to Rupert Grint when we were in Pasadena. Well, nothing will ever beat Graham saying to him, "Thanks, mate, you're a star," both literally and figuratively. Oh, it was painful. All right, I'm going to go and the embarrassment of that situation. Let's go back across to Scott in South Africa to find out how he's doing.
Yeah, it's funny how many vehicles in the Mara stop and chat to us. Definitely more than here, which is bizarre. There's certainly a higher level of fascination of us and our vehicles there than here in the sands, which is strange. I guess we do pass a lot more vehicles there than we do here in the Sabi sands. And here's some you may know, Shanae, one of the guides. Hello, Shanae. How are you doing? How's it put? Good. Hello, everyone. No sign. Have a good one. Now, we were just kind of parked a little bit further behind us. They're not far from where we lost Hosana, a young male leopard, as he crossed into an area where we cannot go over there. And we just moved to where Noel Tundi, just behind us down the road a little bit. She was also heading, sadly, in the wrong direction yesterday evening, but anything could have happened. She could have came and turned back north or came back to the same area where she's been stashing the little youngster. But we didn't have any sign, and then I can still hear the vehicles following Hosana through this area. And I had a feeling that he was possibly going to turn and come back towards Djuma, but no luck. I thought I'd just again listen for a second to see if we can hear whether he's still moving away, which it does sound like he could be. Anyway, a good area for us to just spend some time listening and waiting patiently. So that's what we're going to do, and send you across to Noel, who's already found you some more animals.
I do. I have elephants and a herd of buffalo and a big herd of impala running around. The elephant is busy wandering towards those impala with his smelling us a little bit. It's possible maybe he smells the wild dogs. Again, Vildi and I are still in our 1 kilometer radius that we haven't really left this morning, and we're getting a lot of good action here. I love when everything's around one area. It's good. This elephant definitely knows something is up. Wouldn't surprise me if the wild dogs come running past at some point. Look, he's going to chase the impala. Look, look, look. He's very perturbed by this impala running past. That's hysterical. Our buffalo just in front of us here don't really care. They're sort of watching the elephant like, what are you doing? The impala are running back in the other direction. So this is not because of the wild dogs, they're just running. Although if they keep running the way that they're doing and doing the antics that they keep doing, they are definitely going to attract those wild dogs. They do make enough noise. Remember, we saw those wild dogs with the big ears. They make enough noise to attract a predator like that. All right, and our buffalo just quietly grazing in the background there. So I would be curious to know, what's been your favorite sighting so far this morning? We've had so much going on. Buffalo, elephant, wild dog, leopard. Leopard again with Scott. Lions with Jamie. You can hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter or put that through into the YouTube chat. I'm actually really glad. We need rain, but I'm glad it lifted a bit so that we could carry on without our roof. The roof makes it sometimes difficult to position in a sighting. So these buffaloes have woken up from sleeping in this area for the evening. And by sleeping, I mean resting and ruminating. And now they're slowly going to get moving, feeding along the way, probably find some water to drink, roll in some mud. Jennifer, you vote for the wild dogs. Jennifer, I also am voting for the wild dogs. I agree with you. Although the variety that we've had has also been quite enjoyable. Very good sunrise safari this morning. Action-packed. I can still look at these impala. A few of you are saying Hosana. Yes, Hosana is always lovely. We've got the rocking horse motion going down with these impala on some of them. Remember, they can jump about 10 meters high. Oh, sorry, 2 meters high and 10 meters wide. And then they also do this rocking horse motion every now and then, which isn't as high, but kicking up their back hooves. They're probably smelling quite a bit of wild dog and quite a bit of leopard, and then also just joyful at being alive and also practicing their allometic behavior, their copycat behavior. Now, when we start hearing alarm calls and we start hearing them a lot, that we'll know if the wild dogs have found them. And Hosana has moved a little bit farther up here. So I think what we might do is, our buffalo are also moving that way. I think I'm just going to come back around onto the road and then around. There's a little mud pan that side, and see if maybe we can use a buffalo by the mud pan. I also think that stump that I ran into has caused Rusty to be a little bit off kilter at the moment, so I'm just monitoring him. He's still fine, but we'll check in and see as we go along. So now, because this herd is so large, we're going to pick them up piece by piece along the way. And we might pick up some more elephants along the way as well. The Chitwa Dam is just to our south. Oh, there's a tiny little baby. Teeny, teeny, tiny. Just in amongst there. Lots of babies in this obstinate sea of buffalo. There we go. And we've been very lucky with this herd. We had that little one a couple of afternoons ago who had just been born. And then several the same. And there's quite a few still pregnant females. So we should be getting some more. And this one has a little bit of a limp. Shame, buddy. Alright, well, it shouldn't hinder her too much, but again, the old, the weak, and the sick in a buffalo herd is what feeds things like lions, and lions need to eat. I think let's carry on up to the mud pan. Maybe Halloween buffalo. More impala in front. Now Jamie is still driving around the Mara. Let's see if any of the safari paparazzi have found her to take more photos. And we will move around to our mud pan and see about a view from that side.
Noelle is just having the best morning. She really is. She's having such an exciting day. I'm so happy for her. So many different things happening. We've had quite a quiet morning. I went to go check up on the Hammerkorp nest, and I think they've abandoned it. They're still not there. No, there's been no progress. I think they've decided that with the Egyptian geese, the ground hornbill, and the leopard all wondering about their nest site, I think they've just decided it's a bad neighborhood and they've moved on. We long suspected they might actually have two nests that they were building, because they weren't there every single day, and I think they've decided to consolidate their energy possibly just a little bit further down from where that nest site is. Sad for us. It means we can't watch the nest being built, but that's okay. We're going to do a quick loop and check up on the crowned crane nest instead. That's what we're going to do, see if they're home today. I'm hoping one day we're going to go there and there's going to be little chicks wandering about, stomping with their parents. That's what I'm hoping for. And then we'll go back to the lions, because I do think they're going to hunt this morning. Mara lions are not afraid of hunting in the middle of the day. It doesn't get nearly as hot here. The plan. I think our slow morning is attributable to the fact that I didn't have my normal cup of tea this morning. I had to drink a cup of Earl Grey tea, and quite frankly, as I said to Faith this morning, Earl Grey is tea that's just not trying hard enough. It really isn't. I'm pretty sure that's what put us on a downward spiral. Oh, we found the lions, though. Kirsty says she loves Earl Grey. I'm sure someone somewhere is deeply offended and might send me a prize in capital letters. We'll see. I'll let you know if it happens. Okay, off you go back across it to Noelle, who is the star of this morning, and her buffalo.
Thanks, Jamie. You started off the morning very strong. We started off very quiet, so we're just swapping places. Could be your Earl Grey. I didn't get my full cup of coffee this morning, so I think that's why I started off slowly. Now, our buffalo have started to make their way to this little mud pan. Some of them have already made it, as you can see. The rest of them are just over here on the right-hand side. Ooh, that one's got a bit of a wound there. maybe from another buffalo. But there's a few wounds on there. You're asking, Amanda, if leopard can hunt buffalo as well. Amanda, I used to work with a male leopard called Bumba Niati, which means kill buffalo, and he used to kill small to medium-sized buffalo. Also, a lot of these babies that are in here are definitely leopard-sized food, so for sure, they definitely can. Can we hear them moving? Them feeding and moving through there. San Diego, you're asking what's the lifespan of a buffalo? A buffalo can live to be about 20, 23 years old. Sometimes they top off at 18, so I think if we say 20, that is our best bet there. Now the females will live in a herd structure like this for their life. The males, when they get old, will leave the herd and move on to being by themselves or possibly with other males. Now that female with the wounds on the side that the are now getting is at the back of this little grouping here. She's gone into the water. The wounds that were on here, that are on there, I should say, remind me a bit of those wounds that black rhino get. It's that, I can't think of the name just now. Jamie will remember the name. Jamie's brain works better than mine a lot of the time. She will definitely remember the name of that parasite that causes the lesions on the sides of black rhino. And those lesions are reminding me of that. I've never heard of buffalo being able to get them, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. Lots of oxpeckers flying, alarm calling at the moment. Some of them still on the buffalo. I've only seen the red-billed oxpeckers this morning. I haven't seen the yellow-billed. And good news for us, this herd of buffalo is making its way over onto Djuma property. So let's hope that means that eventually we'll get some lions. I haven't heard back from Shanae regarding if she found those lions she heard calling. I'm sure when she's done finishing up with the wild dogs, she'll go have a look. And will update us accordingly. Mrs. Grumpy, that's fantastic. Mrs. Grumpy, you're saying buffalo always look as if they're judging us with their parliament wigs. And it's that stare as well. Hey, Mrs. Grumpy, yeah, I agree with you. They are sitting in judgment, that's for sure. Buffalo are very judgy looking wildlife animals. Also looking at us like we've done something wrong to them, like owe them money or bothered them in some way. There we go. That's the look there. Especially when they lift their heads all the way up and then smell. I love listening to them. Now the general direction into, again, like we said, into Djuma, is also close to where we were looking for Tundi this morning. So these buffaloes might actually flush Tundi out. Buffaloes have a tendency when they can smell predators around to get very nervous and sometimes stampede. So a predator smell from a little leopard or a big leopard, still a predator smell. So I've seen in scenarios like this before where a mom will then go and try and find her cub just to make sure that it's safe. But that little cub will also climb a tree if needed. Now, Jamie, we must ask Jamie about what those lesions on the black rhino, what they're caused from. She will remember, hopefully, and she's up there with a hammerkop and I believe her own buffalo. So let's head on up to her and hear what she has to say.
Oh, it's something that's very specific to black rhino, and the name will come to me in a second. Sorry, that was a curveball. That was the last thing I was thinking about. Give me a second and I'll remember. It's very common. They get some lesions that open up sort of bloody wounds on their back and their sides. It's more common in summer. And I will remember what it's called if you just give me a few seconds to remember. As I said, I haven't had my normal cup of tea this morning, so I'm not on form. Now, while Jamie tries to remember what the skin lesions are called, we are... Oh, got something! We're watching a hammerkop move around a feeding buffalo, and I think what it's doing it's around this buffalo is the same reason we see egrets, we see starlings, we see all sorts of birds, drongos, that will hang about with much larger animals, because as they move through an area they disturb things, and as a result it makes it that much easier for the bird to be able to pick up on the movement, to spot something potentially to eat, and therefore to zone in. Come on, hammerkop. I'm not having a good morning though. My crowned cranes are not here either. Now, James Richard has answered our question about the skin lesions on the buffalo. That's not what I'm talking about at all. That is found on the black rhino, and they are called filarial lesions. That is not what I was thinking of, is it? Maybe it was. Maybe it was what I was thinking of. They typically get them around the armpit area. Filarial lesions. No, it is what I was thinking of, I think. There's another name for it, and there's another name for the cause of it, and I will... Oh, it's been so long since I've had to think about this. I'll have to try and remember and do the reread my notes on the black rhino, because I spent a lot of time with black rhino when they were released onto a reserve that I was working. Very typical around the armpit areas, the sort of the folds of the skin around the abdomen and around the front part of the legs. Thank you, James. Much appreciated, though. Skin conditions in black rhino are common, and there's one main cause, and then there are several other minor causes as well. You can see this hammerkop is really focused on where the buffalo is moving about. This boggy area, you can see how the buffalo is churning up the mud. It's after frogs, tadpoles, little species of fish, small species of fish, and the number of insects that this sort of area would attract. And a lot of different insects will have the first part of their life cycle in water. Ginny, no, I have never ever seen a buffalo with 3 horns. I would imagine it's possible in cases where the horn splits, if it's damaging its growth phase, perhaps if it's split out to the side. I've never seen a buffalo with 3 horns though. It's not something I've witnessed. I've seen elephants with extra tusks. Also, again, where there's a break or a crack that's occurred during the point that it's growing, at the point where it's growing. And I have seen rhino with 3 horns, because the front one is split. It doesn't really count as 3 though. It's basically a split front horn. My favourite rhino was called Notches, and she had a split front horn. Made her look like she had 3. But no, I have never ever seen a buffalo. I don't know if any of the other guides have perhaps seen a buffalo with 3 horns. I've seen buffalo without horns, and I've seen a buffalo with 1 horn, where the other one has been broken off. The worst thing I ever saw was at Red Dam in Arathusa, was a buffalo with a broken horn and an oxpecker that had pecked away at the marrow and climbed right into the hollow left behind. It was one of the most queasy-inducing feelings watching that happen. And I'm not particularly squeamish, but that really was an uncomfortable thing. I'm so upset that the crowned cranes are not around. I'm wondering if they haven't abandoned their nest site as well, because I would have thought if the buffalo were hanging about in this area, and warthogs, they would be protectively sitting near their nest, and they're not. Which makes me deeply concerned. I think perhaps they might have lost their clutch of eggs, or perhaps chosen another nest site. I don't know. I don't know enough about crowned crane nesting behavior. There's some warties at the back. There always are in this particular patch of soggy ground. One of my favourite spots here, driving along the main Mara River Road. I always stop off here because I know I'm guaranteed to see warthogs and birds and all sorts of other things. Shame. These two warthogs have only managed. First saw the warthog piglets coming out of their burrows for this first time this season. They were everywhere. There were little warthogs everywhere. But unfortunately, they're just on everybody's menu. Everything, all predators out here enjoy a snack of a warthog baby. And the result is that there are very few piglets that actually make it. We were talking yesterday about buffalo mortality rate, or buffalo calf mortality rate, and both Brent and myself said we weren't sure of the exact number, but I bet you that a baby warthog mortality rate must be much, much higher. They seem to get attacked from every angle. I think I see, hold on a sec, I'm just going to go forward a little. I might not see the crown crane, but I'm not sure. I think I might see the malachite. Don't fly, don't fly, don't fly. Does look like the malachite. Can you see it there? No, sorry, it's a tricky one. You got it. Well done, Adrian. Adrian's got his eye in. Where's it gone? Oh, there we go. Done, Adrian. Adrian's been doing some spectacular bird filming over the course of the last few days. He was incredible with that harrier the other day. Now there we go, our little malachite, perched on what looks like a reed, and looking to do exactly the same thing that the hummercorp is. And last time we sat with a malachite, we actually saw it catch a fish. Unfortunately, it flew away before it swallowed it, which was very disappointing because I was desperate to see how it was going to manage such a large mouthful. The fish was bigger than the malachite's bill. And one of the things that one of you guys pointed out to me, while we sit and we watch the malachite bobbing on this reed, obviously it blows about in the wind and it's not 100% stable. Oh, no, don't leave. Oh, it's gone into that little clump of bushes over there, to the left of the buffalo. I can still see it about. But what I was going to comment on was the way in which it keeps its head still. Keep going to the left. It's in that clump there. That one there. The way it keeps its head in one place while its body moves, and it compensates for the movement of the branches. It's in there somewhere. Promise. Unless it flew away while I wasn't watching. There it is. And gone. It was a brave attempt, and we seem to have bird species gathered next to buffalo all around us. So there's lots to see here. Let us send you across to Noelle, who also has some buffalo, and she's spending a bit of time with them.
Jamie, I'm sorry throwing you a curveball there. It seems as if your brain's working the same as mine today. And I believe it was filarial worms. And I think, James Richard, you were the one that sent that through. That's what you were thinking as well. You have filarial worms for the lesions caused on the black rhino. Heard of it with buffalo, but that's kind of what it looks like to me with this female. You can actually see her. No, this one buffalo standing in the way. Move, buddy. If we zoom in there on the left-hand side of the pan. There we go. And the oxpeckers are keeping them open. Shame, that has to be annoying and painful. Nita, good question. You're asking if buffalo smell like cattle. Nita, it's not a far off smell from cattle, but it's definitely a sort of mustier buffalo smell. Sort of a more wild, gamey smell, I guess. A deeper smell than a cow smell. Cows to me always smell a bit like hay and manure. There tends to be hay and manure around. Whereas with buffalo, there's a bit of that manure smell, but then it's just also the buffalo smell itself. And there's always a lot of flies. Vildy and I have a lot of flies around us at the moment with this big herd. Now, they were veering in towards Djuma. They have now veered a little bit more south into Little Gowrie / Chitwa. And then I'm sure that they will then veer back towards Twin Dams. That is their general direction in which they are headed. The Hadida ibis, the loudest bird ever. These blacksmith lapwings that are on this little pan are very annoyed that these buffalo are wandering through and upsetting their apple cart. The buffalo don't care. Now, something interesting buffalo that we have here, everyone, I believe you can hear all these sounds really nicely, so I'm just going to stay quiet for a minute. That is indeed a buffalo, Kirsty. That is not Hildy's stomach crying out in hunger. We've got one buffalo in the back here who's assaulting this tree and is busy rubbing now the horns, but it was walking across it to get the ticks off from in between the legs as well. So our buffalo here, it's very interesting. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was only 100 buffalo left in South Africa because of a rinderpest epidemic that came through from cows. They got their numbers back up, obviously. But then they're also very susceptible to tuberculosis, to bovine tuberculosis. So we have a point that is just to our west. There's a tar road called the R40, and you're not allowed to move any of these buffalo west over the R40. They have to stay east of the R40. So let's say there was a reserve on the western side of that area that was low on buffalo and wanted to get buffalo from here. We couldn't actually move them over because of that tuberculosis. And it's actually gotten to the point with the tuberculosis that it's started other species in the area as well. So you're technically not allowed to move any wildlife from the eastern side of the R40. So basically Greater Kruger over into the western side. There was a pride of lions, a friend of mine that used to work with down in the southern Sabi sands, who only ate buffalo, and at that point the buff really had a problem with TB, and that pride of lions actually got TB from eating the infected lungs. So it is something that we have to keep track of, keep an eye on. Now Scotty D is busy looking for Tundi and around and seeing what he can find, so I think let's head on over to him.
Yes, we are searching for Tundi. It's tricky business. She's been in and out and up and down out of the same area for quite some time now. And that makes our life tricky because there's lots of tracks coming to and leaving from the same spot. Now, I have just found some tracks that look like hers. But again, there's so many tracks in this kind of general area that it's hard to be certain which ones are the freshest. And at first glance, these guys don't look too fresh. Although, it's tricky. Tricky business. Now, what I'm hoping to find is some tracks of her moving with the cub, because that means she would have brought the cub back onto Djuma. At the moment, I can just see some of her tracks here. Where does she go? Her cub's tracks are a little bit more tricky to spot than hers are. So that's why it's good just to kind of move a little bit further away and check a range of tracks rather than just checking one or two. What is happening? Where are you going? There's also nice, some areas where I am here are nice and sandy and receive tracks well, whereas up on this side, it's much harder, so not as easy to see a track on this section. I think our best bet is just to kind of continue driving through this general area. It is an area where she has kept the cub in the past and where she has been doing what it seems like a lot of her hunting. So hopefully she's going to get lucky, make a kill, and go and collect the cub and bring it back into this general area. Like I said, there's just so many tracks up and down, in and out, backwards and forwards. It's hard to know which ones are the freshest. Alrighty, well, we still have time on our side, so we could get lucky in finding her, and I really hope we do. My days are numbered with Tundi and her cub. Anyway, back to Jamie Patterson in the Mara.
I think with as dedicated as he has been to finding Tundi, I suspect you're going to get lucky today. Wild dogs, Hosana, and Tundi to complete the mix. I'm sure Scott will find her. But we haven't... Sorry. A sneeze that disappeared. We haven't had much luck this morning, apart from the lions. We're going to head back towards them, just to see what they've been up to. But we did just do a little loop to investigate and see what else is out here and out and around, and it's very quiet at the moment. You can see why the lions are pushed further and further up against the mountains. That's where the grass is short and where the animals are spending most of their time, because if we look at where we are now, there is nothing, absolutely nothing. It's amazing how it changes day by day. When I first arrived in the Mara, this particular spot was teeming with animals. This morning, we are just not having any luck with animals. Fortunately, though, Noelle is really on form this morning. She's found even more animals to show you.
Hi everyone, we've made it a couple hundred meters away from that buffalo, and we found a breeding herd of elephants who are busy wandering past us, probably eventually going to end up at Chitwa Dam. We have a young bull who's busy hounding this older female. She's too old for you, buddy. Smelling her, testing her out, annoying her. The rest of the herd's just sort of moving on like, oh, fine. For those of you that might be new with us, and I do know we have quite a few new viewers, some of you have found us after the TV shows, some of you stumbled upon us on the internet, on YouTube. And so with a breeding herd of elephants, you have adult females, and one of those adult females will be in charge. She will be the matriarch, and then it's made up of their different youngsters. Males get kicked away from the herd when they're about 15 to 18 years old, and then go off on their own, and sometimes join up with an older male. This younger male here is probably a bit too old to be associated with this breeding herd, but is possibly going the same direction. There's at the back there. She's an old lady. Oh, and the sun's finally coming out. It's going to be a hot day, probably humid again as well. One of the reasons why they're making their way down to water. Mrs. Grumpy, you're saying you love the way that the elephants sound as they're moving through the grass. Mrs. Grumpy, I would definitely agree with you. All right, they've gone over into some thick bushes, so we're on. We're going to check some of our boundaries and see if any lions have made their way back into the Djuma area. That would be nice to see. It's one of the only things we haven't seen this morning. So we just need to see a lion and a cheetah. And I've shown you pretty much all of the large charismatic creatures that we can find on our property and show you on screen. We'll have to see what we can do about that. Now, if we were to get cheetahs, sometimes they come in from the south, sometimes they come in from the east here. Carol, good question. If adult elephants ever lie down, they do from time to time. It's not something we see often. Usually the smaller ones will lay down a bit more than the larger ones. Although on the morning, one of the mornings of our TV show that we had recently, I found an adult an adult male lying in a miter drain, and he was proper sleeping. He was breathing and he was snoring slightly. It was hysterical. He unfortunately moved before we could show you, but yeah, it does happen from time to time. We've had so much excitement this morning. It's nice to just take a breath. All right, now Jamie is heading back to her lions so we can get a little bit more lion love that side. So Jamie, I believe in you. I believe you're going to see something epic like a hunt and a kill, or maybe some cute little action with the cubs. You never know.
I am heading back to the lions. Hopefully we can get there before the end of the sunrise safari. We should be able to. We've got plenty of time. I'm just looking for this little bird again. This little rufous-napped lark. Ah, I see you. I see you. Ah, it's gone again. No, it's not. There it is. Stop and perch like you're meant to. Ah. Okay. It's in there. It's in there. I'm not determined. I'm going to make Adrian's life really difficult. It's in the grass somewhere there on the road. Ah. Horrible little bird. Okay. No, it is impossible. It's the standard soundtrack of the Mara. I don't know where it went. The standard soundtrack of the Mara is the song of the rufous-napped lark. They are everywhere. Oh dear. It's in there. Oh goodness, no, Adrian, I think we're onto a lost cause here. We'll have to wait till we find one perched on a bush or something. That's not going to work. We'll find one as we go along. I still think we should have a Safari Live soundtrack CD featuring sounds like the rufous-napped lark, James's songs. There's quite a few birds of prey, Sandy. Wondering, I spoke about the fact that baby warthog are pretty much on everybody's menu, and Sandy's wondering if there are any birds of prey that would actually tackle a baby warthog. It takes a big bird. I might not have got our lark, but I've got a long claw perched on a bush. So a long claw definitely does not count as a bird of prey that would take on a baby warthog, but something like a martial eagle absolutely would. Any one of the larger eagle species. Perhaps you do get imperial eagles here as well. Perhaps even something like a crowned eagle. Now, the crowned eagles spend a lot of time up in the forests rather than down on the open plains, but we do see them. And the crowned eagle is also one of the biggest eagle species. The three big eagle species, Marshall, the Verreaux's eagle, which I nearly called the black eagle, that's the old name for it, and the crowned eagle. And those are all bird species that are capable of tackling really large prey. Marshalls have been known to take cubs, lion cubs. We've been talking a lot about that recently, because we've been chatting to the Marshall eagle researcher. But they've been known to catch and kill small antelope. Adults, though, they are more than capable of tackling and catching a baby warthog. And there's quite a few different eagle species that could. Booted eagle could probably. And a lot of the time, the way that those eagles hunt is they use the sheer momentum and power of their bodies. They're heavy eagles, and they come flying out of the sky at high speed, and they land on the animal in such a way that it causes it really serious damage, possibly breaking the neck or the spine. So it's less power of their talons, which shouldn't be underestimated, but it's more to do with the momentum and the bulk of the way in which they hunt and the way that they impact the prey when they come tumbling out of the sky. Eagles take dogs too. People often lose small dogs to eagles. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people are very cautious with their small dogs. Joel, I have unfortunately, sadly, never seen an away with an antelope. A lot of the time when they do kill larger prey species, they actually can't fly away with it. They've killed it, they're not strong enough to lift it, and they'll sit on the ground and they'll feed off it. I'm trying to think of the largest thing I've ever seen an eagle fly away with. Probably a catfish, you know. A fish eagle and a really big catfish. And you could see how the fish eagle was struggling to lift it up into the air. What else have I seen eagles? I mean, I've seen eagles fly away with snakes.